Well, hey everyone, it's Lexio Room here for a different type of video. I'm going to go over all of the evidence in my Ras Master as a source dragon of energy theory. Now we've got a lot to get through and I want to make this as concise as possible. You're not going to be seeing anything on camera, this is just a me talking video. You can put this on the background, and as for a background, all you got is this cool piece of art I did, the source dragon of energy, moving strength, Lloyd and Ras, like chess pieces. Kind of inspired by the FNAF song, Nothing But a Pawn. I'd recommend checking it out, it's pretty good. Okay, we're going over the evidence in season order. A lot has changed since my previous two parts, now that we have season 4, a few more things added from Doc Wyatt, especially part 1 because we didn't have enough Dragons Rising to go off of back then. So let's go down the evidence in season order. Let me slightly reposition my camera so this energy art looks better. Yeah, that's a cool background. Okay, so we're going... But first, as much as I'd love to go on season order, I should debunk some other theories for Ras Master first, because as any good theorist should do. Number 1 is Zilvar. My brother's theory is that Zilvar is Ras Master, and I have nothing against it. I would not be opposed to that being the truth. It's just the fact that I don't think... Oh wait, did I say Zilvar? I meant Zarkar, sorry. I get confused with the two. Even Doc Wyatt does. But yeah, Zarkar is my brother's theory. He's Ras Master. I wouldn't be opposed to that being the truth. I feel like there is some merit there. It's just the fact that I don't think Zarkar will become relevant again in that way. I feel like if he were to be Ras Master, we would have gotten to know a bit more about him, other than him being a warrior of the Tiger Tribe, an Elemental Master, and Ras' ancestor. Then there's Wu, which... Let's just say my theory partially died into it, but I don't think it's him because I don't remember who said it, but someone else said that LEGO wouldn't risk the reputation of an iconic Ninjago character by making him a bad guy. First Ninjitsu Master of the theory I like the idea of, but the sets disprove it because Kang Min Lee, who is the set designer for the Old Town, which comes with the first Ninjitsu Master minifigure, said that he had to fight really hard to get that minifigure made, and if they were going to make it anyway as part of the Season 5 Dragons Rising wave, assuming Ras Master is the villain, then there would be no need for him to fight that hard. And finally is the Source Dragon of Strength, who gets more and more debunked every season. He is not Ras Master. And I guess there's also all the evil alternate timeline Wu, evil alternate timeline Wu, Lloyd or whatever. There is no evil alternate timeline stuff. That has never been brought up in Ninjago before. The most time travel they've gotten is in Season 7 and that one episode of Season 2, and none of them dealt with an evil alternate timeline version of someone. Okay, with all that out of the way, let's get into Wyatt's energy. We'll start with Season 1 of Dragons Rising, the first time we meet the Source Dragon of Energy. Now, when I relay some of the information here, I'm going to tell you, check the seasons for yourself, and hold me accountable if I get it wrong, but most of it I'm right about. Check the seasons to clarify the point. So when we first meet Energy, he is imprisoned below Imperium, and Lloyd finds him. Energy... I don't actually remember what Energy does in part 1 aside from he's there, so let's just skip to part 2 of Season 1, where Energy gives Lloyd his first vision. Now the question there is, why would Energy give Lloyd a vision of him killing everyone and the world ending? What's the point of that? Why would he do that? If he's a good guy, that doesn't seem like a good guy thing to do. As for other things that are inherently suspicious to me of Energy there, is when he says to Lloyd, perhaps he was right about you, when he brings up that it's the right thing to do to free him, and then immediately changes the subject after Lloyd asks him what he means. There's the time when he says, right at the end, perhaps we may meet again before the end of this cycle, which ties heavily into what I think Energy's motivation is. And then there's also... Sorry if there's a pause I had to remember. There's also the part where he says that freeing him could destabilize Emerged Land as we know it and cause a great problem. Now, let's get into Season 2. Because there's some merit Energy that's a little untrustworthy, but Season 2 is when it really picks up. Season 2, Ras is the primary villain, much like he most likely will be a primary villain of Season 5. So, Season 2 is also my favourite Dragons Rising season, so a lot to talk about here. In Season 2, Ras begins by opening the Shadow Dojo using the Source Dragon of Energy's energy. It could have been any Source Dragon. We know that Ras is fully capable of summoning Source Dragons. He has Strength Icon. Why did it have to be energy of every Source Dragon he had? I know what you're going to say. I've heard this argument before. Had to be energy. Ras captured energy. There's no way Ras Master could be energy because he captured him. He had his icon. And now my only question to that is, how did he get that icon? You as the viewer, answer the question in the comments for me. How did Ras get energy's icon? Because icons are not easy to come across. It wouldn't be easy to steal it from someone, especially if they were using it as a weapon. And he wouldn't have obtained it unless he made a deal with energy previously, or he particularly liked him. Which would be kind of weird that he never brings up Ras any time to Lloyd. Meanwhile with Lloyd, he's getting more visions from energy that are telling the future. A dark future, an evil future, where Noct destroys his sword and Sora's collapsed by the rocks and Zeatrix beats him and the Blood Moon is coming. Why would energy give him these visions if he's a good guy? Same within the cave of the evil mushroom dudes I forgot the name of from the Land of Monsters. Now, onto the Ras side of things, I want you to genuinely look at the effect that happens when the Shadow Dojo and Noct and all those guys are teleported away at the end of part 1. Look at the effect, the yellow light, and it looks almost exactly like energy's energy that's released in the beginning of the season. It even has sort of lightning bolt shapes in it. So that's pretty big piece of evidence there. One piece of evidence I'm going back on is the Forbidden Five being part of Energy's plan. Now that we know about the Thunderfang thing, and the fact that wasn't even their plan to free Thunderfang to begin with and all that, it seems more likely that Energy just remembered them as powerful elemental warlords and told Ras to get them. Sorry if there was another cut there, I had to go because there was a request asking me to go to the shop and stuff. But back to the theory, everyone, back to the theory. Now, the teleporting away thing, the sound effects used. There are 3 sound effects, being the sound effects at play. I think it's something to do with the Dragon Course, the first one. There's also a bit of the icon being forged with motion, but that hasn't happened in the show yet. Oh yeah, that was it. The 3rd sound that plays is a sound that plays when energy is given the Dragon Course. Why would an energy-centric sound play there? Why didn't they make a new sound? It's almost like it's foreshadowing. Motions, and icon, or just icons in general. Energy, Dragon Course, all of it tying together. And then part 2 gives us even more evidence. But first, let's bring up the red herring in the room here. A certain red herring that I know a lot of you are going to be pointing out. Ras talking about the values of strength, and my master told me that strength is the most important thing. That's just a red herring. Just like how the Overlord and Mystery kind of look similar, to the point that I thought that the Overlord was Mystery when I first watched that kind of mediocre season. Sorry about all the Season 8 hating on it. I don't like it very much. I'll probably make a video on it at some point, but currently dissing Season 8 is my entire identity in the Ninjago community. So hopefully I'm right about this theory, and then my identity will change to the guy who was right about Ras Master. But anyway, away from the Season 8 stuff, strength being mentioned is just a red herring. Noct speaks about strength too, but he has nothing to do with the Source Dragon. It's merely a red herring to lead you off from Energy's path. Now in part 2, there isn't as much pointing towards Energy. I haven't actually watched part 2 for a while, even though it was one of my favourite seasons. I probably should have rewatched it in preparation for this video, but it's where the concept of icons get brought up. And it was one of the things I got right about being Ras's Hammer being an icon, so I'm already credible here. But in terms of the entire season, not much pointing towards Energy. There is that cool Hydra mural on the Tournament of Sources, but that's not much. That if any of you can rewatch the season or rewatch one of my old videos about Energy and point out either something I brought up previously or another piece of information that you think might point towards Energy being Ras Master, tell it to me, because I'm up for everything needed. And of course, the biggest piece of evidence that I missed out accidentally earlier in part 1 is when Lloyd gets a vision from energy and Ras communicates with the Master, both of them have glowing eyes and float up into the air. The exact same way. You can watch both of them together. They do it the same way, it's just Ras seems more inclined to it as opposed to Lloyd, who falls over and drops down. So there's a connection there. Even if Ras's Master isn't a Source Dragon, even if Ras Master isn't energy, it's most likely a Source Dragon. Actually, that's a good point. So, Ras Master is a Source Dragon. We can almost confidently say that. But how can we say it's energy, aside from all the evidence already presented to you and the fact that in the title card it gets struck by lightning and stuff? Energy, lightning, energy. How can we confidently say energy is Ras's Master? Let's look at the criteria. Now, a list of leaked information on Ras's Master came out a while ago, and I'll be using that for some of my points. It says Ras's Master is a he. The only Source Dragons to use masculine pronouns are energy and strength. And there's more evidence towards energy than strength. But assuming those leaks are false, strength, life, and focus are all out on account of them leaving the council and denouncing their godhood, which I don't think someone of this power would do. And it would also make them unable to give Ras visions, and they seem... I don't know, it feels like Ras Master is still doing that over in the Nameless Realm of the Shadow Dojo. As for the remaining ones of the council, Motion seems nice, and she hasn't done anything to make me think she's suspicious. And as I said to my brother, if it is Flo, I am going to go insane and denounce being a Ninjago fan forever. Because there is nothing pointing towards it being Flo, and it would simply be done to annoy me. But yeah, energy is the most likely candidate of the Source Dragons. And this is where we hit most of the new stuff. I touched on a bit of it in part 2 to my theory, talking about energy's motivations mainly. But now that we've gotten a bit more time and I've gotten to think about theories a bit more, well, Season 3 has some strong contenders for energy being Ras's Master. For starters, there is part 1. Now, part 1 doesn't give us much on the way of energy. Ras does say, quote, if I can remember the quote correctly, I managed to summon the Source Dragon of Energy using its icon under Imperium, but they never knew of my true goals. True goals? What true goals? I might be looking into it too deeply here, but Ras saying his true goals lie with the Source Dragon of Energy, if his goal is to hold dominance over the Source Dragon or kill them all or something, why didn't he just do it right there? Is it that his true loyalty lies with energy and that's their goal? Ras also says that if you reverse the merge, you can rewrite reality however you want it to be, and that will come into play in part 4, which comes out... I'm not going to say tomorrow. Part 4 of this theory won't come out tomorrow, but let's say Wednesday, home for a Wednesday release date. Tomorrow at a push, okay? You'll be getting part 4 very soon. As for the rest of Season 3, again, not much hinting towards Ras Master being energy in part 1, but part 2. Oh my god, part 2. So, the first huge piece of evidence we have for energy being Ras Master is how he snuck Lloyd into a meeting. Canonically by Doc Wyatt states, as he stated when asked, energy snuck him in, it was not intended. And that meeting also confirmed to me, strength can't be Ras Master. He hates mortals. He would never willingly give up his power like that. But energy's different. And considering he snuck Lloyd in, an outsider who wasn't even meant to be there, and because he heard that meeting and learned about the Archdragon and Focus, that directly contributed to strength, life, and focus leaving the council, it feels like a very calculated move on energy's part. And after that, he even says, quote, this may be the end of the cycle. The end of all cycles. End of the cycle? Just like he said in Season 1. They are reiterating the concept of a cycle, but only energy has ever said it to my knowledge. Why do they keep reiterating the point? As for on the secondary side with Ras, he again does the same levitation-y thing, but we also hear some lightning crackling sounds when he speaks to his master, or at least that's what it sounds like to me. And if you look to the corner, there's what looks like a warped symbol of the Source Dragon of Energy. I'm looking into it a bit too deeply there, I'll admit, but there is some ties to him. And then there's the icon Ras forges. It could be an icon of balance, as some people point out. I wouldn't be averse to that. It's gold and bony, like balance is gold in the skeleton. But why is Ras need an icon for a Source Dragon that's already dead? Like, would it work? Would it even be powerful? But then someone asked if Source Dragons could have more than one icon. The answer is yes. And I believe someone even asked if it was an icon of energy, the response was something along the lines of, ooh, hold on to that. And even if they didn't ask that, I know that it was a theory that this was an energy icon. It could highly likely be an energy icon on account of the gold, like yellowy gold, like energy, even though he's blue, you know, it's a yellowy gold colour. Energy in general just gives me bad vibes. If you look at everything he's done, and even on the poster of Season 1 with him, his giant claw reaching down at them, he is an ominous character. And then there's my biggest piece of evidence being the Source Dragon of Balance's dead body. Now we know that a Source Dragon died, we know it's Balance. Why is it that when Cole and Kai find the Source Dragon of Balance, the yellow glow that poofs him away looks almost exactly the same as Energy's essence and Energy teleporting away the Shadow Dojo in Season 2? Why does it look the same? Answer that question for me in the comments. I'm being rhetorical, you don't have to. You know the reason why. It's because Energy's Ras Master. He did that. And it ties into a later part of this video. And then finally we have Season 4. We haven't gotten much of Energy in Season 4. He has more lines than the other Source Dragons, but his only lines being something on the lines of, he may have failed, but something like, he cannot fail. He may have failed the test in the traditional sense, but his true power is anything but traditional. Lloyd failed the ritual of unrooting. The only reason that he even gained dragon form is because Energy willed it. Energy says it in the most ominous tone of voice he could possibly muster up. Why is he doing this? And Season 4 is basically screaming at us that Energy is Ras Master from Ras wanting to capture and contain Energy, and like Cole going, Energy, Ras, the pieces are coming together here, or something along the lines of like that. Energy is brought up so many times as a concept in Season 4. Lloyd, when asking who his greatest enemy, goes, who is it? Ras? A Source Dragon? Someone who secretly hates me and I don't know it? Ras is Master, a Source Dragon who secretly hates me and I don't know it. That is all the evidence we have of Energy in the main show. And remember I said in the main show. It's time to go on to supplemental material. Doc Wyatt answering questions, marketing, and LEGO themselves and the sets. Let's start with Doc Wyatt answering questions. Now, he hasn't answered much in the way of Energy in Ras Master. We know that Ras Master likely existed a long time ago. But some of the biggest pieces of evidence are when asked if the Source Dragons have met or know Ras Master personally, same with First Ninjago Master if he knows them, the response was, meet is a strange word to use in this context, implying he is one of them. He is a Source Dragon of the First Ninjago Master. I've already debunked most of them except for Energy. Energy is Ras's Master. In terms of other things Doc Wyatt was asked that I think tie into it, is asking if the reversing the motor will really do all the good, and the response was, it will cause things far worse. Implying Energy is tricking Ras with his goal. Energy is a sly little deceiver, that tricky, traitorous Source Dragon. Anyway, the biggest piece of evidence for that has just come out right now with Doc Wyatt saying it. It was like a few days ago when asked if he had a favourite dragon, and the response was, oh, I do have a favourite dragon, but you haven't seen him yet. Or at least, the other side of him. The other side of him. Like, Energy's other side, Energy's darker side. Does he think of Energy's darker side, evil Energy, as a separate character to main Energy? I mean, I've seen some people say that it's like Balance got split into two and there's an evil balance and a good balance. I like that idea, it's just a little too far-fetched. Remember, Dragons Rising was originally greenlit for 5 seasons. We're in Season 4, Part 1. We have one part to wrap up who Ras Master is. It has to be someone we have met previously, most likely a Dragons Rising exclusive character, and no new concepts, no Source Oni, which we don't know if they exist, no new dragons. I mean, it could be someone like Kex Metal Wing, who's an entirely supplemental world-building character. That'd be crazy, because they do technically exist, but you know what? That's enough. Now on to other supplemental material. I have so much evidence in my head, I just can't get it all out here. If you look into all the supplemental material, all the Dockwire answers, all of the other stuff, rewatch all of Dragons Rising with the knowledge Energy is Ras Master, it all starts making a lot more sense, especially when they say they know who it is from the beginning. The biggest piece of evidence that just came out is... Oh wait, no, I already said the dragon thing. Yeah, the final piece of supplemental material, when Lego website was talking about Season 4 and being like, hey, are you excited for Season 4? It's going to be great, we think. Get ready for it. What do you think will happen? We got cool dragons, we got the ninja reuniting, elemental powers being lost, and Ras Master being revealed. All the symbols all made sense. Ninjas reunited, ninja symbol. Dragons, dragon symbol. Elemental powers, weird swirly symbol. Ras Master, lightning bolt symbol. They could have chosen a tiger or a question mark or any other thing presenting mystery or Ras, but they chose a lightning bolt, like the symbol of energy. I rest my case on the supplemental material. Everyone in marketing will know who it is if they've truly known from the beginning as well. They are hiding the clues in plain sight. That's why Doc Wyatt said, when asked if we can figure out who Ras Master is, his response was, I don't know, maybe, there's a lot to talk about when the time comes. He never said no, he never said yes, he said maybe. There's nothing explicitly stated, but the clues are in plain sight for us to see. And then we'll move on to the final part of this video. The final part of this video was the theorizing part. I've given you the evidence for why Energy's Ras Master, but why is Energy's Ras Master? What has he got going for him? Now, I'll give you a spoiler already. Part 4 of this theory is going to be me going over how I think Season 4 Part 2 and Season 5 will play out. That'll tie heavily into Energy's motivations, Ilvar as a character and all that. But let's start off with why I think Energy's Ras Master. If any of you have played the Danganronpa games, I know this feels like a big tangent, I think they're pretty good. The main villain is Junko Enoshima, and her goal is to cause mass chaos and end the world because she's bored and she's too intelligent and too good, and she's bored by the world that she knows too much about. That is Energy's goal. He is bored by this world. He is bored by this cycle of this world, and he wants a new one. The soft reboot is coming for Ninjago, but the soft reboot isn't Dragons Rising. The soft reboot is literally Dragons Rising. Energy wants to soft reboot the world. I've already told everyone about this in a previous video, but I'm building more on his evidence for why he does this. He wants to become head of the council in order to make this happen, but Balance is the head of the council. We know Strength didn't like giving out power to mortals, but we never learned where Energy stood on it. Maybe he stood with Strength. Maybe he also hated it. Maybe Balance and Strength, Energy and Strength had the same idea. Maybe Energy hated giving out mortals their powers as well. And he eventually came around on it for the sake of the scheme, but he had to get rid of Balance. Balance was impeding his plans, let's just say, and he killed him. Took him out, killed him. It was the easiest way to go about it. And he eventually ran into Ras. Now, Ras and his story, it'll all be in part 4. I'll explain to you why I think Energy chose Ras, what I think Ras' emotional destination is, how I think his story will end. But for now, you need to know he met Ras, and they came up with a scheme to take over. He led Ras on with sorts of him being able to raise his tribe from the dead, not knowing Energy's true goal. Energy has killed Balance now, but he lost the body. He'll need someone to get that. And he knows of a green ninja. He knows of the great legendary ninjas of Ninjago, and he knows how to make them bend to his will. He'll play the captive victim, even though they're all for the sake of the plan. He'll take those dragon calls to stop the merge from ever being stopped again, just like the first Ninjitsu Master did, even though he never wanted to give up that power. And he is going to win. All he needs is Balance's body. He was going to make it seem like, oh, it was an accident, I didn't kill Balance. But he lost the body. And the only people who know where it is are the ninjas, Master of Earth and all that. So he led them on in a form that they all knew all too well. That's right. My final piece of the theory is that Wu is the source dragon of energy. Not all the time, but only in Dragon's Rising. Wu, as we see him, is a yellow ghostly spirit who has Paul Dobson as voice actor, like always. But Paul Dobson also voices the Source Dragon of Energy. And Energy has told Ras that Wu caused the merge. What would be the best way to do this? Play as Wu and perpetuate the lie to the ninjas themselves when asked. When he said, what was once lost is now found, that wasn't like some deep conversation thing from Wu. That was Energy saying they helped him out. They found the body he lost, which is why it turns into the same energy power when it gets teleported away. Wu might either be fully dead or he might still be alive, but the Wu we've seen is Energy leading them along in his plan. He was never captured in Imperium. He's got many forms. He can split himself everywhere. His mortal body, his essence was trapped. But he can still move around that ball of energy. That he can move around the reserve power. We know that source reserves exist. Wu is a sorcerer. That version of Wu is energy source reserve. He is the reserved power. He's leading the ninjas along. He's making them do all of his schemes. Now you may question, why would Ras capture Wu in Season 3 as we see it? He didn't. That's just Energy lending him an old body that he briefly used. That's Energy lending him some power again, just like he did with his main giant dragon body back in Season 1. Energy has a goal. Energy's goal is to make a new, fun world that he is the god over, the only god over. He is going to kill all of the other Source Dragons. His goal is to get Ras to summon them with the icons and wipe them all out. As the only Source Dragon, he is the god. He is God. He can see the future after all, but he can only see the future he wants, which is why his visions are so dark. I can even go further and say that maybe Balance was the guy with future vision, and after Energy killed him, he stole the power and he wants to steal all the powers, which is why all the elemental powers were needed in the Source Tournament, and that was part of Energy's scheme. Get all the powers, get all of it, become God of Gods. But yeah, that is my overarching theory for who Balance is, and motivation-why he's Ras Master, all of that good stuff. I have one last thing to say. It's just, give me a minute to re-jog my thoughts. Oh yeah, the cycles. Cycles are like, life cycles. A world has a life cycle. The merge is essentially like when a caterpillar goes into a chrysalis and emerges. The chrysalis or cocoon, I'm usually good at this, but I don't remember if moths do. No, moths do cocoon, chrysalis. You get the metaphor though. The chrysalis is the merge. What will emerge after the merge, merge, whatever, is going to be a new, greater world. Energy doesn't want that, though. He wants to cut the life cycle short. Even though it will continue for millions upon millions of more years, he wants to cut it short right now. He wants to reverse the merge, set it back to its pupil phase, I suppose, and start all over. He didn't lie to Ras when he said that he can create whatever reality he wants in the ashes. But he wasn't entirely truthful either. He wants a new world. Maybe he learned about the concept of cycles from Balance. Maybe Balance used to be the only god before Energy was even born. Maybe Energy lived through previous cycles. Maybe he is billions upon trillions of years old. not even that, maybe he's like in incountable numbers of years old, and he knows about cycles. But this time, he's head of the council. He's not below balance. He gets to do what he wants. And the only reason his plan is only coming into effect now is because the merge wasn't stopped this time. The merge is integral to his plan. Maybe it's because this is his first merge, or he learned about it from Balance, or if the theory has existed for that long holds true, he's experienced previous merges and knows what to do. But that's his goal, to create a new world. He is the god. He's bored of this one. He's like a Ninjago fan, basically. He spent so long on this story, seeing it through its highs of season 5 and season 6, and seeing it through its lows of season 8 and season 16, or 15 crystallized, whatever number it is. And he wants a change. Just like how others Ninjago fans have seen it through those highs and lows, and then want to change with Dragon's Rising. Energy seen reality through those highs and lows, even in Dragon's Rising, and wants to change with a whole new world and a whole new theme. And I guess it's entirely dependent on us, the fans, if Energy's goal comes to fruition. If we keep supporting Ninjago, keep buying the sets, keep loving it as a whole, Energy will fail. Energy will not conclude in his goals, and Ninjago will stay the same way it always has. But maybe if we're too negative, maybe if we don't like Dragon's Rising, Energy will succeed and he will reboot it all. We'll get either an entirely new theme or Ninjago from scratch. Maybe that was the goal to begin with. Maybe that's why it was only greenlit for 5 seasons. And as Doc Wyatt or Kevin Burke or whoever it was said, if it does well enough, it will get more seasons. Because the original goal was that the ending can go in 2 ways. It can go with the end of Ninjago forever in a kind of dark, morbid way, or it can go with a new era for Ninjago. I think that new era is coming. I think Energy will fail, knowing how strong and passionate the fans are. So that's it for today's video. That is the Energy Theory Complete Edition. That is why Ras Master is the Soul Dragon of Energy, fully done. It's got the evidence, it's got supplemental material, and it has got the theory part of it. Join me either tomorrow or in 2 days' time, or whenever I get the chance to upload it. It'll definitely be within the next week or so, hopefully pretty soon after this video. Join me then to see how I think Season 4 Part 2 and Season 5 will go, and how I think the entirety of Dragon's Rising will end the Ras arc. Or Energy arc, I suppose you want to call it. That's it for this video. Boom signing off.